Crime Curious is a true crime podcast that takes an in-depth look into real cases through the lens of a trained investigator and former prosecutor turned judge.
If you are sensitive to expletives, anatomical descriptions, and accurate descriptions of crime scenes, this podcast may not be suitable for you.
Welcome to Crime Curious. I'm Charnell.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Brain Beth Jason.
Hi, thanks for joining, everybody.
Thank you, Shake.
I wept this right up against the microphone.
Yes, you
I'm
did.
sorry. I have the little voodoo princess or
Ula.
whatever. Ula.
Mhm.
Namaste.
Yes, our little, thank you. We're shaking the gree-gree, getting everything set, especially because it's Mercury retrograde
Jeez, ow.
until November 29th. And you guys, it's hitting hard,
It
this
feels like
retrograde. This retrograde has been powerful. It's a retrograde in Scorpio.
And
It's a
November
whole
sucks.
thing. Oh, hey, you stop. Us Scorpios, this is a great time, but
There's
there's
your
strong
birthday.
energy.
I
And
blame
there's
you.
Thanksgiving, which I love. But for the most part, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of November.
The energy is
The
strong.
weather blows.
The weather-
Especially in southern Michigan.
Yeah.
I mean, wake me up when November ends. That's how
Yeah.
the song should
Wake
go.
me up. Yeah, we don't own the rights
This is
to that
November
music.
rain.
It is.
Oh.
No, I'm
It's
starting to
GNR
This,
understand.
I
this
love-
weather is about
I
as
love that
depressing as that
song.
song.
I know.
I can
And,
play it on the piano.
but it's
The
good.
whole thing, all 15 minutes of it.
Great.
Hurt your fingers.
I bet.
That's
Good
a long
creative.
time.
Obviously, good creative energy comes out of November. Look at these songs that are created.
Fair enough. Hi, fans
Hi,
of Crime
guys.
Curious.
This is not what we're here to talk about.
No.
We actually have to thank a listener, Trav, for today's case suggestion. Really great suggestion. Really good case. So, get ready,
Okay.
everybody. 3 days ago, on November 16th, 2025, which was we are recording this November 19th, 2025. Okay. So this is like 3 days ago, a special man named Chancellor Lee Adams, or Lee as he is affectionately referred to, turned 26 years old. The reason that this date is significant is because Chancellor Lee is a miracle. He should have never survived his own birth, but thanks to the heroics of his mother, he is living, surrounded by the love of his family and community of Charlotte, North Carolina. Before I get into the details of this case, I want to read you a quote from an article that was published by WSOC 3 days ago on his birthday. This quote is from a woman who ended up raising Lee, his maternal grandmother, Sandra Adams. And this is her words. Quote, "We want our story to be an inspiration, and our message is a message of forgiveness, because without forgiveness, it's hard to live a fulfilled life." End
Ugh.
quote.
Fine. She's right.
She really is. So I ask you all, please keep this at the center of your heart as you hear this tragic case. I start this way because Lee is a survivor, a fighter like his mother, and so I want to honor that wish from the family. May we all become inspired by the courage and the strength that it takes to live life from a place of forgiveness. Chancellor Lee Adams was born November 16th, 1999, in blood and chaos. His pregnant mother, 24-year-old Cherica Adams, saved Lee's life that night with a remarkable 12-minute 911 call she completed despite being shot 4 times in a drive-by ambush.
Oh.
I'm going to read you the transcript from that call. This is 12:06 a.m. on November 16th, 1999. 911. 911 Baker, do you need police, fire, or medic? The caller says, "Police, I've been shot. I've been shot." "You've been shot? Where are you at, ma'am?" "I'm outside." "Listen to me," the 911 caller said, or the 911 operator. Listen to me. You're on a wireless phone. I don't know where you are. So tell me where you are, ma'am. Where are you at?" She says, "I passed Calvary Church on the," and 911 operator says, "Calvary Church?" And she says, "On Rae Road." So 911 says, "You're on Rae Road. Where at on Rae Road, ma'am?" Silence. "Ma'am, talk to me. Where are you at on Rae Road?" She says, "I don't know where." 911 says, "Okay, are you near Calvary Church?" She says, "I passed it on the left and I kept straight." "Okay, ma'am, you've got to help me help yourself. Where are you at?
I don't know.
She does not know. No. She says, McAndrew, Lexington Square community. I'm in front of it. 911 says, McAndrew? Okay, listen to me. McAndrew. You said McAndrew Square? She says, I'm cold. 911 says, ma'am, listen to me. McAndrew Square? She says, left. 911, listen to me. You're on Rae Road? Then the caller says, Wessex Community, Square Community. 911, okay, tell me one more time. She actually starts spelling Wessex Square. So 911, you're at Wessex Square. Caller says, yes. 911, okay, where are you shot at, ma'am? She says, I don't know. I was driving. 911 says, you were driving and someone shot you? She says, yes. 911, did you see the person that shot you? She says, I'm 8 months pregnant. She says, okay, ma'am, you're 8 months pregnant. You've been shot. You're at Wessex Square community. Okay, ma'am, I'm going to connect you to the medic. You need to talk to him because we have to help you. You have to find out where you are. Remember, this is 1999. We don't have like tracking on this wireless cell phone.
That's why this 911 operator is
Exactly.
being so specific and making a repeat just for people like me who rolled their eyes momentarily because I'm like, wait, you did too.
I did too.
Like
And
I
it's
clearly don't know where I am. I know I passed a church.
Think about the crappy Razor flip phone you had in 99.
Exactly.
But
There's
she
no
is
GPS on
she
it.
is trying to ground her, which is what you
Right.
typically
Yes.
do with the victim to try to get them to focus more on how do I get someone to you as quickly as possible.
Mhm.
Like it's almost secondary that she's been shot and she's 8 months pregnant. It's that there's an emergency. I need the police. Where the hell do I send them?
Yeah, yes, I need to get somebody.
Okay.
And she's
All right. I'm neutralizing
Yep.
my feelings for a moment.
Yep. 911 says, stay with me, ma'am, on the line. Stay with me. Keep talking to me. So she says, yes. So 911 is able to do a 3-way connect at this point in time with a medic. So she says, medic, she's been shot. She's pregnant. All I can get out of her is Wessex Square. So the medic says, okay, I'll do my best. Cherica says, Rae Road. Okay, I am. And she starts spelling streets, CWYNAKN, a little discombobulated. It's not the right spelling, but she's spelling. So the medic was like, all right, are you in Mecklenburg County? She says, yes, Rae Road near Cavalry Church. So the medic says, okay, you're right on Rae Road and Cavalry Church. And she says nothing. Caller says nothing. So then the medic's like, hello, huh? And she says, yes. What kind of car are you in? Medic asks. Black BMW. Okay. Black BMW. Now, what's wrong? Did you have an accident? 911 interjects and says, no, she's been shot. So the medic says, okay, she's at Rae Road, Cavalry Church. That's what she's telling me. And they're continuing to repeat this, but they're explaining, we're trying to get an ambulance on the way to you. What part of your body's been shot? She says, I don't know. So the medic's like, you don't know where you've been hit? She says, I'm pulling in someone's driveway in their yard. She was still driving as part of the problem at that point in time.
Oh my God.
So they're like, okay, can you
Pull
see
over.
the number of where you're at? And she's really not making, she says 5229. And so he's trying to repeat 559. She says 59. It's so confusing for her and for the medic. And she doesn't know the name of the street that she's on, but she knows that she's in the Wessex Square development. So they're trying to get her. All she says, she then gets to the point where she says, please help. And they said, ma'am, we're trying to, but we need to know where you're at. So then 911 interjects and says, I've got Wessex Square, 5232 McAndrew Drive. So then medic says 52 and caller says, or 911 says, no, it's 32. That's what it says at Wessex Square. And so they're now 911 and the medic are kind of going back and forth. Whereas, Cherica is still here, like, hello.
Help me.
Right, exactly. And they're doing what they need to do to try to get to her. Right. So then the medic repeats, can you tell me what part of your body you're shot?
She doesn't know.
And she is at this point in time able to say my back and my neck. And so they say, okay, how did this happen? This is what the medic asks. She says, I was following my baby daddy, Rae Carruth, the football player.
Rae Carruth.
Rae Carruth?
Okay.
Holy shit, you're giving us this case.
Yes, I am.
I know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So the medic, just trying to keep her talking, says, so you think he did it? She says, he slowed down and a car pulled up beside me. The medic says, and then he shot at you? She says, yes. So then the medic can hear a horn blowing. So he says, what's that horn blowing? She says, me trying to get attention. Medic says, to get somebody to come out? And she said, yeah. And before we left, he called someone from his house. So the medic says, ma'am, can you give me any information about what kind of car it was? She says, no. The medic says, you didn't see anything? And she says, uh-huh. He says, you didn't see anything that would give a description of what to look for? And she says, uh-huh. Medic says, where's your husband at? She says, I don't have one. So medic says, or your boyfriend. Is that who you said was with you? Where's he at? She says, he was in the car in front of me and he slowed down and somebody pulled up beside me and did this. And the medic says, and then where'd he go? And she says, he just left. I think he did it. I don't know what to think. Now remember, she is shot 4 times.
Yeah.
Okay. Still talking, still trying to get people there. Medic says, okay, all right, what's his name? She says, Rae Carruth. He plays for the Panthers. Medic, okay, what's his name? Rae Carruth. Rae Carruth. Number 89, she says. And he says, okay, are you controlling your bleeding? No.
How the hell do you want me to do that, sir?
Right. He says, what about the one on your neck? She says, no. He says, okay, you got anything in your car with you, like a rag or a Kleenex? She says, no. He says, okay, if nothing else, put your hand up there and hold pressure on it, okay?
I'm literally
Just
doing
do
this
that
right now, you guys. I'm so sorry.
Uh-huh. Is the car turned off? She says, uh-huh. And he's like, excuse me, huh? And she says, no, it's not. So she's like, okay, do you have kids in the car? She says, no, I'm in somebody's yard. He said, I'm sorry? She said, I'm in somebody's yard trying to get attention. So now they're like, are there lights on in the house? And she's kind of going in and out because she's not answering. And then she says, yes. And he says, okay, keep blowing the horn. She says, yes. Is anybody coming out? No. Are there cars around? She doesn't answer. Okay, how are you doing? She says, I don't know. He said, okay, do you actually think you were hit by the bullets or do you think glass cut you? She said, I think bullets. And he said, okay, what part of your back did you get hit in? She says, the lower. So lower back. And she says, uh-huh. How old are you? 24. Medic, 24. Is this your first baby? Yes, sir. Okay, do you know what kind of car he drove? And she says, who, Rae? And he said, yes. And she said, he's in a black Expedition. And medic says, black Expedition? And she says, I mean a white Expedition. A white Expedition, the medic says. And then she said, MSN something, like his license plate. And so he asked, where does he live? And she says, 9214 Olivia Lane. 9214 Olivia? And call her. And she says, yeah, I think. And so then he's asking, you know anything else about the expedition? Guys, he's doing this to keep her talking.
Yes.
Just for anyone who's like, what is going on? I'm doing this, intentionally taking you through all of this so that you can feel how long this 911 call went on when she was shot 4 times. So the medic is saying, okay, MSN something. She's like, it's something 77 too. So then what happens is a neighbor calls 911 because she is in someone's yard in her vehicle, blaring on the horn.
Yes, and so they're afraid to come outside?
They are. Right. They're afraid to come outside. Yep. 911's like, okay, hey, a neighbor just called in. She's at 5229 McAndrew Drive, and he said there's a female in the car beeping her horn, so that's got to be her. They get there. 911 says, I got his name, Rae. This is not me mispronouncing it. This is what the 911 operator said. I got his name, Rae Carruth. He's in a white Expedition with a tag, Mary Sam Nora something 77. And so... And
he plays for the Panthers, and this is his football jersey number. Like,
yes.
He left that part out.
Yep. And so, however, she says, Cherica says, MSN, because he had said Mary Sam Nora. She was like, no, not Mary Sam Nora, yeah, MSN, right? And
he's given military...
Yes, exactly. Now they know exactly where to go. So they're still keeping her talking, asking if she's controlling the bleeding, and she's saying no. And so he's like, listen, you need to put your hand in direct pressure over this, like now. And then 911 says, ma'am, I hate to do this to you, but when you last saw this Ford, when you last saw it, which way was it going? What road? And she said straight down Rae Road. And so 911 said, okay, Rae Road towards South Carolina or towards town? She said towards town. So they're like, we're trying to help you, but they also are trying to dispatch some law enforcement to look for this white Expedition, right?
Yeah, because there's
They're-
potentially
I
a
s-
person on a rampage with a gun.
And I assume they're in Charlotte.
Yeah.
She's also saying there's a person inside the house. Of course, they're not coming out because they don't know what the hell is going on, right?
Yeah, they're watching from
Yeah.
their picture window.
Right. But the ambulance passes her. So she's like, they just passed me. They just passed me. So then they're like, what, the person in the house just passed you? She's like, no, the paramedics, they just passed me. They get them turned around. They get to her. They make her flash her brakes on where she's at so that they could see all the faster because it's 12:06, a.m. Well, by this time it is 12:20 or so a.m. And so they get her. So she's in this vehicle now trying to find the brake lights to just flash, right? Like to constantly hit the brake. And they find her a 12-minute or more, little over 12-minute phone call.
We can talk a lot about response times, but they were clearly trying to get to her.
Yes. And think about that. She's on a wireless phone
I
that
know.
they don't
In
have the capability.
1999.
Yep.
Right, she can't give an address.
Yep. So
And she was moving
yes,
when she called
that's
them.
part of the problem too.
I just passed a church. I just
Right.
passed an apartment complex.
Pull into
And
the
then-
church
Driving.
parking lot, right?
Then pulled into
but she's just
someone's
been
house.
shot. She's
Mhm.
in panic
Oh,
mode,
yeah.
survival mode.
Absolutely.
She's in shock.
She's in complete shock. Yep. Cherica was on her way home after a movie date with her boyfriend, Rae Carruth. He's an NFL wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. When she was ambushed on the road in Charlotte, North Carolina, she was shot at 5 times, with 4 hitting her neck and back. She had perforated intestines, liver, and stomach. Chancellor Lee Adams was born 10 weeks prematurely. Because of the bullets that pierced his mother, he was deprived of blood and oxygen for critical moments just prior to his birth. He weighed 3 pounds, 11 ounces when he was born. He was delivered by an emergency trauma team in the Charlotte Hospital that was then known as the Carolinas Medical Center, only about 80 minutes after his mother was shot. At birth, he was in such respiratory distress that his skin looked slightly blue. He suffered permanent brain damage and cerebral palsy as a result of being without oxygen. In the hospital on November 16th, 1999, Cherica Adams briefly awoke for a few hours after Lee was born by emergency C-section. Detective Price with the CMPD homicide unit was able to ask her some questions. Because she was intubated and couldn't talk, she responded by writing her answers down. As with her 911 call, Cherica put Rae at the crime scene. In one note, she wrote, "He was driving in front of me and stopped in the road. And a car pulled up beside me, and he blocked the front and never came back." She knew that she had saved her baby from immediate death by then, but he was fighting for his own life on a different floor of the hospital. She still wasn't quite sure how the crime had occurred. In one moment, she was supposed to be following Rae to her home. In the next, she'd been shot 4 times and was bleeding so badly that the hospital had a difficult time pumping blood into her to compensate for what she had lost. She lost 6 liters of blood that day. A doctor would later testify at her trial, which is about that it was about 1.5 times what her body normally could hold. Still, she answered everything that she could. The police asked if she thought that Rae had anything to do with this, and her answer was just a question mark. That's what she wrote down.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to believe, and I
Right.
don't want to believe it.
Mm-hmm. Eventually, she grew tired and needed to sleep, a sleep that turned into a coma. The police had asked a lot more questions and had a lot more to ask, but they thought that they'd have plenty more time to ask them because the doctors actually had a positive outlook on her survival at the time. It was Chancellor Lee's that they were most uncertain of. Cherica Adams was 5'4" when she came into the hospital, weighing 120 pounds. After several weeks of fluid retention, her weight ballooned to 282 pounds.
Oh, my God. That is so much fluid, that poor girl.
Mm-hmm. After she spent nearly 4 weeks in a coma, being kept alive by machines with no real hope of recovery, her family made the difficult decision to just let her go. Before her life support was unplugged, though, Chancellor Lee was brought in from another floor of the hospital to see his mother one final time. Now, Cherica didn't wake up, but those in the hospital room were watching the monitors and swear that her heartbeat jumped in recognition when Chancellor was placed gently on her chest. Cherica Adams died on December 14th, 1999, at age 24. Chancellor Lee Adams went home with his grandmother 17 days later. Cherica Adams was born June 1975. She was raised mainly by her mother, Sandra Adams, and her grandparents. She was the only biological child of Sandra. After dropping out of Winston-Salem State University in North Carolina, she went to work in real estate, and she eventually got a side job as an exotic dancer at a nightclub. She was beautiful, friendly, determined, independent, and an obvious fighter. Rae Carruth was actually born Ray Lamar Wiggins, January 20th, 1974. He was born and raised in Sacramento, California. He attended Valley High School. He was accepted on a football scholarship to the University of Colorado Boulder. He played 4 seasons for the Buffaloes and was named a first-team All-American in 1996. His quarterbacks at CU were future pros, Coy Detmer and Cordell Stewart. Ray had actually earned his degree with a double major in English and education. No dumb cookie.
Yeah,
No, he's
he
an
was
educated man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. During his sophomore year at Colorado, his girlfriend, Michelle Wright, gave birth to their son, Ray Jr., a child that Ray did not want initially. He was a first-round draft pick in the 1997 NFL Draft, taken by the Carolina Panthers with the 27th overall selection. He signed a 4-year, $3.7 million deal that included a $1.3 million signing bonus. He had a rookie season in 1997 and started 14 games, during which he caught 44 passes for 545 yards and 4 touchdown passes. He was tied for first among rookie receivers. He was named to the all-rookie team at wide receiver. Then his body starts to break a bit, despite his young age and successful rookie season.
Well, they're pretty hard on themselves.
He broke his right foot in the opening game of 1998 season and did not catch another pass that season because of the injury. He ended the year with 4 catches for 59 yards, all on the opening day, and he played in the first 5 games of the 1999 season with 14 catches for 200 yards, but he was struggling with injuries. By the time of the November 1999 shooting happened, his NFL career was a bit rocky. According to an excellent article in the Charlotte Observer by Scott Fowler, and it's linked in the show notes, this man, Scott, had wrote on this case numerous times and interviewed throughout the years numerous participants in this case, and then did a wonderful piece for the 25-year anniversary, which was actually last year in 2024. A lot of this information comes from his wonderful article that I told you is linked in the show notes. During his teens and early 20s, Ray had relationships with a lot of women. He was charismatic enough that in high school in California, he was voted the school's prom king twice. He's a very good-looking man. By the time he got to Charlotte, he had already fathered a child, and while in college with Michelle Wright, as I said, his high school girlfriend, he was paying $3,000 a month in child support for that son. And many years later, he has actually been in contact numerous times with Ray Jr. So, Another woman named Amber Turner would later testify that Ray got her pregnant in early 1998. Turner said on the stand during what we will get to as the 2001 murder trial in Charlotte that Ray pressured her to have an abortion, saying, quote, "Don't make me send somebody out there to kill you. You know I would do it. You can't have this baby," end quote. In the summer of 1999, Ray and Cherica met at a pool party in Charlotte. They were attracted to each other and saw each other several times more that summer, but they fell out of touch. They were actually started dating other people at the time. In November 1998, however, they reconnected when Ray attended a birthday party for a Panthers teammate at the nightclub where Cherica was an exotic dancer. And at this time, she was a real estate agent and a dancer. And so she happened to be there that night, and they hit it off, and they had an on-again, off-again relationship. At one point, Ray did give Cherica the cell phone that she uses to call 911 with as a gift, which if you think about it, 1999, it's kind of a bougie accessory to have.
It's a nice gift.
Mm-hmm. She actually had told her parents, Ray just wants to be able to keep in better touch with me. By April 1999, she was pregnant. And of course, the baby is Ray's. By the way, just going to insert this now. Yes, this was confirmed through DNA testing.
Okay.
Chancellor Lee is Ray's.
Well, did he try to deny it?
Well, I'm sure that was just covered by the prosecution just so that couldn't be brought in.
Fair enough.
She was thrilled with the pregnancy, and she told her mother, Sandra Adams, about her future grandchild on Mother's Day 1999 as they ate breakfast at a Charlotte pancake house. Ray, however, wanted her to have an abortion. Already paying $3,000 a month in child support for the child that he had while in college, he wasn't happy with the idea of fathering another. Cherica, however...
Well, wear a condom, Rae.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Cherica had made the retching choice to have, and I'm saying retching because, not because that's my own opinion, but because...
That's how she was described as feeling?
Yes, that's how she was described as feeling, that earlier in her life she had already had an abortion, and she was not willing to do that again. And so she made it clear to her mother that she never wanted to go through that again. Then she makes it very clear to Rae that she planned to have the baby, and if necessary, she would raise the child as a single mom with the help of her family. She was not pressuring him to be involved. After interviewing Cherica in the hospital, the police looked into Rae's phone records. They came across the name Michael Kennedy, a friend of Rae's who was also a known drug dealer at the time. Soon, Michael's admission to the police revealed a gruesome murder-for-hire plot that left everybody shocked. Another phone number in the records went to a motel close to the airport. A few days after the shooting, the police came across a Van Brent Watkins at the same motel, and he was brought in for questioning. And eventually the authorities learned what had happened. Van, a security head at a strip club, was approached by Rae in June 1999. Van later remembered, quote, "So he said, 'How much would it take to beat up a girl and make her abort her baby?' End quote. I said, 'I don't beat up a girl. I kill people.'"
Oh, I'm not going to beat somebody up for you, but I'll kill him for you.
Yeah. Over time, Van claimed that Rae suggested many different plans to have Cherica killed. Ultimately, it was decided that Van would ambush them after Rae and her finished their date. Also present with Van was Michael Kennedy, who eventually was the one who actually acquired the gun, and his best friend, Stanley Abraham. So after the movie was done, Rae and Cherica drove back to his place, picked up her car, and continued driving in separate vehicles with the intention of going back to her home. Michael, who was driving the car, pulled up beside Cherica as Rae slowed down ahead. So he essentially blocked her in. Okay, he slows down, so she has to slow down. Michael, who's driving the car, pulls up next to Cherica's black BMW, and Van Watkins is in the back passenger seat. So Michael pulls up, just far enough that Van in the back can roll down the window and shoot through her vehicle. He shot the gun 5 times. Rae was arrested fairly quickly, and he posted a $3 million bond. One of the terms of the bond was that if Cherica or Chancellor died, he would turn himself back in. By the time she died, almost a month later, of course, he had fled. Didn't take long, though. He was captured on December 15th, the day after she passed away, in West Tennessee. He was found hiding in the trunk of a car outside a motel in Parker's Crossroads. The trunk also contained $3,900 cash, bottles of his urine, extra clothes, candy bars, and a cell phone.
Well, he'd been hiding there and had to pee, Jason, with his urine. Yeah, he's like living in there.
The Panthers waived him on December 16th, citing a moral clause in his contract, and the NFL suspended him indefinitely on December 17th.
Pretty good for the 1999.
Right. Rae was... It's true.
No, it is.
I mean, I put it in there on purpose because...
You passed the moral clause in 1999.
Right, you really fucked up.
That's for sure.
Murder's going to do that, right? But apparently still in 2025, rape won't do that.
It won't.
Just throwing that out there.
Abuse or child abuse, spousal abuse. You just get away with that shit. It's fine.
Yes, there's no moral clause there.
We're growing as a sports industry.
I mean, the kicker got suspended for allegedly wanting happy endings. We won't get into that.
Oh, but we should.
The times are changing.
Yeah. Well, in all
Please
honesty,
excuse our sarcasm here.
This is usually something that I just wouldn't even put in, but I was like, no, let's at least let the NFL know, like, you did the right thing. Maybe we need to keep looking at these clauses, these moral clauses.
Oddly enough.
You're a sports savant. Who owns the Panthers?
Who owns them?
Who owned them then?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. But Paul Tagliabue was the commissioner then, and he just died like last week.
He did.
Oh,
I know. I saw that. Yeah. But this story's about Chancellor Lee.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Continue.
That's all right. Rae was offered a chance to plead guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for a 30-year sentence. He rejected the offer, and the prosecution sought the death penalty. Of the 4 men involved, Rae was the only one to go to trial because the other 3
took their pleas.
They did
for life with no possibility of parole, death penalty off the table.
Yeah, no, that's not what the other 4 got. But that was
hopeful.
Nice. That was nice. The trial began in 2000, but went into January 2001. Just so you know what we know, guys. We know that Van Watkins was a passenger in the rented Nissan Maxima that was being driven by Michael Kennedy that pulled alongside Cherica Adams' black BMW sedan shortly after midnight on November 16th, 1999. Van admitted in court that he then rolled down the window in the back passenger seat, shot 5 times with a .38 Special. The gun had only been acquired earlier that night for $100 by Michael Kennedy. This is also what Michael Kennedy told the police. 4 of the 5 shots hit her. He later said he purposely aimed high because he couldn't stand the thought that he might be hitting the baby. He knew she was pregnant. Within minutes, Van Watkins would throw the gun out of the car. His intention was to put it into a creek that they were passing, but he missed. So someone walking by months later found it.
Well, no quarterback on that guy.
No.
Nope. So they found it. It was used in evidence. Cherica and Rae saw the 9:45 showing of the movie called The Bone Collector.
I love that movie.
Excellent.
It starred Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie and is about a serial killer,
Yep.
which is just a gruesome tale that I hate about this.
I know you don't watch this stuff.
Yeah, I do. No, that doesn't bother me. But
that movie's
I'm just
great.
saying they go and watch this movie about a serial killer when he knows that
he's planning to kill her.
Yes.
He's already got the hit planned.
I don't like it. The movie receipt was also placed in evidence. There is no doubt that Van Watkins initially did not feel any remorse. He actually testified. I was so bad back then. Not testified, excuse me. He's telling Mr. Fowler that wrote this article that I got a lot of the information from. He had several interviews with Van when he was in prison.
Oh.
And he told Mr. Fowler, like, I was really bad back then. I didn't give a damn. The one thing he would say is that I aimed high because, like, he didn't care that he was killing her, but he couldn't stand the thought of possibly shooting a baby. But he knew killing her was also going to kill the baby. That didn't bother him. He just didn't want to shoot the baby.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Inactive there.
Yeah.
What kind of a human being? Just think about that. Like, that's what I want to know if he's ever took culpability for. Chooses to get rid of an inconvenience in terms of a child by committing a double homicide. You know, how about you just say, take me to court then. I don't think it's mine. We're not married. Have a nice life. Be a piece of shit that way.
Sure can. There's different ways to be a shithead.
You can be a piece of shit in so many ways.
You don't have to do it this way. Mm-hmm.
I could fill up a lined notebook.
There's also no doubt that Van Watkins thought that he had killed Cherica Adams immediately by shooting through the BMW's tinted windows, but he hadn't. And Michael Kennedy actually saw her brake lights blink on and off after shooting and figured that meant she's probably still alive, at least for a while. But he pretended that he didn't see those lights and he just kept driving. And he told the police that he thought that, and also his best friend, Stanley, the boss, Abraham, was in the front passenger seat with him.
He doesn't deserve that nickname.
No, that's just what they call him. But
I don't like it.
He's just sitting there.
You don't get to be Bruce Springsteen, sir.
But both of them saw the brake lights, but both of them thought, if I say anything, like this Van guy, he's a bad dude. He's going to shoot us. Like, they just kept their mouth shut and he kept driving. And the hunch is correct because Van Watkins actually told Mr. Fowler during one of their many interviews that they had that he absolutely planned on killing Michael Kennedy and Stanley Abraham, but he had not brought enough extra bullets. He wasn't planning on leaving any witnesses.
Well, he only left one in the gun.
Yeah, and he's got 2 people.
Yeah.
So
that wasn't going to work out real well for him.
So, but that is what
he used one more bullet than he intended to
Right.
into the BMW to kill that poor pregnant
Right.
woman. So he didn't have enough to
I mean, he doesn't
take care of
strike
the
me as
witnesses.
The actual
Rightist.
quote is, quote, Watkins would have indeed shot both Kennedy and Abraham. He told Mr. Fowler that later from prison, he had already thrown away his extra bullets earlier in the evening. Like he had been shooting. I don't think he had shot somebody else, but he had spent the bullets one way or another, there's more about him in a bit. But anyway, so we know what happened after that, right? Because at that point, Cherica calls 911. David Rudolph was Rae's lead attorney. Some of you from Charlotte probably know him. We actually covered a case where a murder case where I don't know if you remember the Peterson case, not the famous Lacey Peterson case you're thinking of, but the Peterson case from Charlotte, North Carolina, where a wife had fallen down some stairs and it was determined to be a homicide that her husband committed. David Rudolph was also that particular Mr. Peterson's defense attorney.
So he's a well-known criminal defense attorney.
He is.
High profile.
He is. And expensive, which is why Rae could afford him. How he presents the case is that this is a drug deal gone bad. This is his defense for Rae. His argument was that Rae had agreed to lend Van Watkins the money to fund a large-scale marijuana deal, but then he backed out of the plan. Enraged, Van Watkins shot Cherica in violent retribution. Van Watkins denied this in court. He said that Rae had masterminded the plot to kill Cherica Adams and that Van, by the way, is 6'3", 286 pounds. And he said that he thought that he had done just that. He thought he had killed her. He also showed his temper several times during the court hearing, at one point exploding at Mr. Rudolph after the lawyer kept asking him why a hitman would come to an assignment without a gun. Because remember, the gun was produced by Michael Kennedy, right? And Van says, quote, "I didn't need a gun, okay?" He yelled this in court. "For me to kill somebody, I don't need a gun. Can't you look and see? I'm 286 pounds, okay? I would rip you like a rag doll." End quote.
It's going to go over well.
Sounds lovely.
He is.
Sounds like a lovely gentleman.
You're sitting in the jury and you're thinking, well, aren't you just a fucking peach?
Right.
The other thing that Van Watkins later told Scott Fowler during a jailhouse interview that happened in 2018, that Cherica Adams was actually the fifth person that he had been hired to kill. He claimed he'd gotten away completely with the first 4 murders, but wouldn't provide further details about those supposed killings. He also said that every time he hurt someone, he soon became hungry, and that after shooting Miss Adams, he went and ate at the Charlotte Waffle House. Seriously, the fucking Waffle House?
The finest of individuals.
God. Why is it always the Waffle House?
Because it's always the Waffle House.
Yeah.
That's why.
It is. So Rae was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder, shooting in an occupied vehicle, and using an instrument to destroy an unborn child. He was found not guilty of first-degree murder, sparing him from the possible execution. He was sentenced to 18 years and 11 months to 24 years and 4 months in prison. Van Watkins was sentenced to prison for a minimum of 40 years, 8 months, and a maximum of 50 years, 8 months for murdering Cherica Adams. However, he died at the age of 63 from natural causes in prison in the Scotland Correctional Institution in Laurinburg, North Carolina.
That Satan brought him home.
Satan took him home on December 3rd, 2023, almost 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Rae sent a letter in 2018 apologizing to Sandra Adams, the mother of Cherica Adams, for accusing her of lying about him in interviews over the years. His various appeals failed.
She probably called him a murderer.
She did. Well, and he was then accusing her of being a liar.
Right.
And
so that's what he's concerned about, hurting her feelings?
No, I don't think
I would imagine the
Sorry,
letter.
I called you a liar.
The letter may have also apologized for, it just wasn't mentioned in the articles, for actually taking her daughter from her. I would hope, but I don't know. He did end up serving almost his full sentence. He was released October 22nd, 2018, which is why there's a lot of articles around that time in 2018 surrounding his release and why more people.
I don't remember hearing about him being released.
I don't either.
He moved to Pennsylvania after his release, and he's now married and resides in the southwestern United States, where he has changed his name completely and is trying to just live a quiet life. And what I have to crack up about
Hope they
is
didn't have kids.
I don't know that information, but I am the listener who suggested this says to me, I can't get a date, but this guy can fucking get married.
Oh, there's somebody for everyone.
There's a very large population of very insecure women who, knowing everything that you've done in your past, but think about the population of women who intentionally write to men in prison to establish relationships with them.
Yes, absolutely.
And
I mean, this is a thing.
For the jury, and some jurors gave interviews. You can look this case up. There's jurors that have since, talked to reporters, and they say for them, the difference was that he wasn't the one that pulled the trigger. He brought Van Watkins to Cherica Adams, but he didn't pull the trigger. So that's why he wasn't given the same sentence that Van Watkins was in their eyes. For the 25-year anniversary, Scott Fowler reached out and asked him if he would like to be a part of the article. He declined. He said he wants nothing to do with it. But he does explain, there's nothing that I can say that can change this. I am the bad guy in this story, and nothing's going to change that. Like,
Agreed.
He understands that and accepts that. I think for him, he's still trying to split hairs and say, I'm not the one
Right. I
that
didn't
pulled
kill her.
that killed
You
her, but you brought
Hired
her.
it. Done.
And he does say that if it weren't for me, like, I brought Van Watkins to her. And
Yeah,
so
you hired him,
he,
sir.
he has acknowledged that and says, I know I'm the bad guy here. And he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He doesn't want to be a part of Chancellor Lee's life. He told the reporter that.
He's never seen this child.
He saw him briefly in the hospital, like the day that he was born, and he's never seen him since.
Before he was arrested.
However, Sandra Adams, during this article for the 25-year anniversary, gave Scott Fowler her contact information and said, please give this to Rae, because I would welcome communication from him and have him come be a part of Chancellor Lee's life.
Because this is a story of forgiveness.
Thank you.
Because
Yes.
Sandra is apparently a saint with actual golden wings and a halo. God bless you, Sandra.
Because she knows you cannot live a fulfilled life without forgiveness in your heart. And however, so Scott Fowler did do that. He gave Rae her contact information.
Okay.
And he gets to choose what he wants to do with it. He told Scott that he is not, or Mr. Fowler, I don't know Scott. I shouldn't talk about him like I'm on a first name basis
Well, you
with
did
the
a
man.
good job with your article, Scott. We're all friends now.
Right, exactly. But he did give it, and he did note, Mr. Fowler did note in his article, he seemed very surprised that Sandra would want him to contact. And he has said, like, that's something that he would have to really think about. But at this point in time, he didn't want to be a part of the article. He didn't want to, really be in contact with Chancellor.
She's an angel on earth because,
Oh, yeah.
Jason, if someone ever hurts or harms me like that and I say, hey, give him my number.
It's not because I want to
It's
forgive
not
them.
for a good reason.
It's not for forgiveness.
Okay?
I want them to come to my house.
Correct.
I
That might
know.
be why. And I would say it just like that. Hey, give him my number.
Right.
Let him come to my...
Megan, would this kind of crime be sentenced the same today as it was 26 years ago?
Dude, so
25 years
it
ago?
depends, and it depends on the state in terms of like what they consider mitigating circumstances. I think it also makes a difference, and I don't know what happened here with whether it was a jury that made the sentence or whether they have judicial sentencing like in Michigan. We have had very similar cases to this where there were murder for hires, where the hiring individual, typically the spouse, got just as large of a sentence as the person who pulled the trigger. I think in my Cabin in the Woods case that I covered, and that gentleman, and I use that term loosely, I mean, life in prison with no possibility of the parole, and the same with the person who actually fired the guy.
So it's case by case, state by state.
Absolutely. And that would be my primary frustration with this case but for your actions and your hiring this person, this never would have happened. So yeah, the bad guy, who seems to be pretty scary and like the typical horror movie villain who's 280 pounds that will kill you with his bare hands, he deserves life in prison. He pulled the trigger and he took the money for it. But the person who paid him is just as culpable.
responsible. He actually told his lawyer to speak on his behalf and acknowledge that he is morally responsible for bringing Van Watkins into her life and
There's
taking
there's
her
no
life.
moral prison.
You are actually responsible.
Actually
I mean,
moral
I
prison.
think from a judicial perspective, it's like, yes, you're morally responsible in that you had that mens rea. That was how your brain was thinking, but you physically brought him into her life and ended it.
You did.
And frankly,
You orchestrated the whole thing. You
He-
blocked her from being able to drive away.
he intended to kill the child, the infant, too. I mean, I don't know
Yes.
how charging worked here, but I would have charged with murder, attempted murder, you name it.
What was
Well,
his
that's why he
official
got-
charge? Did we say?
He was
Conspiracy to commit
Murder for hire.
No, that's what he was found guilty of. He was actually charged with first-degree murder with the death penalty. Okay,
But
for
they
going
only
for
found
the
him
death
guilty
penalty.
of conspiracy to commit.
They found him guilty of conspiracy to commit, shooting into an occupied vehicle, and using an instrument to destroy an unborn
He
child.
didn't- so they charged him with shooting
Jurors
it, but he
don't-
didn't.
Jurors don't always
guess-
understand.
Well, right. They charged him with shooting into a vehicle. He didn't shoot a gun,
Right.
but,
You are
he got charged with it. Is that first one else doing
100%.
it? So why didn't he get charged with the?
He should have been. He was charged.
The actual
he
murder.
wasn't charged with the actual murder. He was only charged with
Yeah, he was
conspiracy.
charged. He was charged
Yeah.
for first-degree murder.
The jury only found him guilty of the conspiracy is what happened, Jason. So he was charged with all of the
Okay.
things
Yep.
that the person he hired did plus conspiracy to commit, and that is typical.
Yep.
You get charged with the thing you hired the person to do plus conspiracy added.
Okay.
But
Yep.
it sounds like for whatever reason the jurors decided they were going to find him guilty only on the conspiracy and not the actual action thereunder.
Yep.
To me, that's just it's a little crazy, but you don't know what jurors are going to do. And as a former prosecutor, we have a lot of responsibility. And I'm not saying this prosecutor did a bad job either,
Yeah,
because
no, they did
I
a good
have
job.
been in
Yeah.
those shoes where I have done what I thought was a great job explaining why this person's guilty of all of the elements therein, and
they still
I don't
don't.
get a conviction, or I get a conviction on something weird, and I'm like, really?
Truly, the lead juror said for them, not for all of them, but for some of the jurors, it was the fact that he didn't pull the trigger, that they didn't feel comfortable. Because remember, the death penalty's on the table. They didn't feel comfortable sending this man
You're not supposed
to his death.
So that's a big problem with the jurors because, I mean, you very specifically are told that you're not supposed to take the potential penalty into consideration when determining guilt. That's set for a sentencing hearing in front of the judge or another jury to make a determination on sentencing. In those states where jurors determine sentences, they are different panels of jurors typically. So, and again, I'm grateful at this point in time that our state, and it doesn't maybe work for everybody, but I like that the judiciary gets to make the sentencing decision so the jurors really don't have to have that weighing on them.
Right.
We're asking you to use the law. We're asking you to apply the facts to the law, and you only have to decide guilty or not guilty. Don't worry about anything else.
The lead juror
We'll
just
tell
felt
you.
that was a contributing factor to why some of the jurors were not willing to find him guilty on the first-degree murder part.
Yeah.
I have more beautiful news and information, though, about Sandra and Chancellor Lee.
good.
Good. I'm glad.
That was something happy.
Well, Sandra actually was in communication with Van Watkins during his prison sentence several times.
Before he passed.
Yeah, before he passed away. She forgave him. And he knew she forgave him. And he apologized to her. Now, Van Watkins,
This unfeeling
hates
beast.
this unfeeling beast. That's what initially he did not have remorse. They pen palled. I don't know if she went and visited him, but they had communication. She openly forgave him, and he, openly apologized to her. But he does still hate Rae. He told Scott Fowler that he even seriously was trying to plan how he could kill him from prison. Like, he's not a reformed man.
redeeming quality wasn't a
Right.
redeeming quality.
Right.
He's not a reformed man in that way. He still wanted to kill
He's
Rae.
dangerous.
Right, because he's angry that he got this lengthy sentence and Rae didn't.
Should
I
be.
mean, he's quite angry about that.
You don't get.
But-
I said that sarcastically. You don't get to be angry when you
Yeah.
choose to kill somebody.
Right.
You could have said, "No, thank you.
No thanks. Don't need that money.
I'm not interested in this particular type of employment."
So
Instead of bragging,
I
that
don't
you
think
can-
he had a lot of other skills.
I'm
I come with a
thinking no.
very particular skills.
Right.
I think so.
Set
But
of
I just wanted to include that in there, that Sandra and him had communications. She had forgave him and let him know that.
All he had to do,
And
all he had to do to have a successful, wealthy career is not kill anybody.
yep, that's all he had to do. He was clearly
All he
very
had to
talented.
do. Sweetie, you're going to be able to afford child support if you can just focus on your football
That's what
career.
I don't understand. Why are you so bent out of shape, you millionaire?
Well, when you have a bad foot, you have a bad foot.
He was young. He was good. And again,
Obviously, I read the stats.
He was recoverable, like.
For the record, the reason I read the stats was to demonstrate how promising of a career he had ahead of him, regardless of him overreacting over some injuries. Yeah. And that, to your point, that he had everything fucking going for him. All he had to do was not kill someone that he got pregnant because he didn't wear a condom.
Right.
Okay?
Thank you.
I mean, can you imagine if Tyreek Hill killed everyone he got pregnant?
Oh, Lord.
He'd be a serial killer.
Yeah. Jeez Louise.
Anyway. Diggs.
Yes, Mr. Diggs.
Shall we start making a list?
I mean, again, they don't kill anyone that we know of.
Nick Cannon.
Jesus.
Oh, God, Nick
He's got to take all those shitty jobs just to pay child support.
Absolutely. Nick Cannon doing Fruit Loops commercials out here.
Yeah. At least he's trying. He's got to pay those bills.
He's got to pay those bills.
And all of those guys are supporting their children. Whether they want to or not, none of them killed anyone.
Right. That's right.
You had options, Rae.
Sure did. Now, since the trial, Chancellor Lee and Sandra Adams have quietly gone on about their lives in Charlotte. Sandra Adams was once told that her grandson would likely never walk or talk. After years of physical therapy, he can do both now, albeit with the aid of a walker. Sandra Adams is now 67 years old. She said that she sees signs of both her daughter and Rae in her grandson every day. She has forgiven Rae and Van Watkins. As I said, Van spoke several times in prison. He showed her remorse for harming her daughter and Lee. She says, Lee is a very good mix of Cherica and Rae. Of course, I think when people initially see him, they may immediately say, oh, he looks just like his dad. But I see so much of his mom in him too. Determination, Cherica had that. Athletic ability with his physical therapy and his horseback riding. He rides horses. Yes, almost every day at a therapeutic riding center in Gastonia. He plays board games, loves puzzles. He graduated from high school in Charlotte in 2021. He's described as a joyous young man with a huge smile. And listen, Rae may have originally hoped he would never exist. Van Watkins shot him. Cherica Adams saved him. And Sandra Adams raised him. But many people love him. Sandra has long focused on what Chancellor Lee can do and not what he can't, preferring to say that he is abled differently rather than disabled. Chancellor Lee went home with Sandra Adams, and 26 years later, they are still together. He requires daily assisted care and always will, but they visit the gravesite of Mommy Angel occasionally, and they don't really believe that she's there. Instead, that they believe that she's in heaven and that they're going to see her one day.
That's sweet.
I just looked up a picture of Chancellor Lee, and he looks exactly like his father.
He does. He does. But look at that huge smile. Yeah. Look at that joy in his face. That is a man who has been loved and cared for by his family. He's gorgeous.
By his grandmother,
every picture you see of him has the biggest smile on his face.
He does. He is just such a beautiful spirit. Mm-hmm. But he does. His physical appearance looks much like his father, for sure.
That's his daddy.
Oh, yeah.
They look exactly alike.
They do. So that is the...
I was going to make a comment, but I won't.
That is the...
Other than the soul.
Right.
Well, certainly. I mean, obviously, Chancellor's soul is gorgeous, yes, but...
And this guy's looked like it got sucked out of his head with a vacuum cleaner, so there's that.
Well, it definitely feels that way. Mm-hmm. But that is the inspirational story of forgiveness of Chancellor Lee and Cherica Adams.
Thank you for
good
making us
good on Mama
like
Sandra, because
Mama Sandra is absolutely a saint. Sandra,
Sandra. I can imagine she's a lovely lady too.
Oh, she has an infectious smile. If you look up pictures of her, oh my gosh, you want to talk about
a short video
a
with
beautiful human being. Not just because of what we know about her capability of forgiveness, but she radiates just like Chancellor does with his smile. Like it just radiates in a photo. You guys know how awkward I fucking look in a photo? I mean, all you listeners do if you follow us on social media. Like, I don't photograph well. And so these people that their light just emanates from photos. I'm so jealous.
I'm putting this into perspective that she lost her daughter when she was my age or a little younger.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
She was in her mid 40s. Yeah. I think she was younger
She was young.
She was 24 years old. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. On the 25th anniversary at that point in time, Chancellor Lee last year was the same age
As
that his
mama.
dad was when he had this happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he has now outlived his mom, the age that his mom did. It's just
Gosh,
it's
are you going to
crazy.
bathe us? Even
I
though I
am.
feel like Sandra kind of bathed us throughout the entire
Sandra is definitely just an absolute soul shower, isn't she? She just
soul shower.
she is a soul.
I love the shit you come up with sometimes. I prefer it when she's making bad names up about criminals, but that was just a lovely one to go with this general audience episode.
She is just a soul shower, and I love it. And send her all of the love that she deserves to come back to her. But I have some unhinged email sign-offs for you guys. I'd like some of us, if this fits you, use it if you're not going to get fired for it. Or just use it as a way to sign off in some text messages, because that might be more appropriate. Unhinged email sign-offs. Ready?
Yes.
And I'm just going to use my name after it each time to add that level.
Makes it funnier. I like it.
From rock bottom, Charnell. Moist regards,
Nope.
Charnell.
Absolutely not.
That's the one I used
Moist
today.
regards.
If you said
Moist
moist
regards.
regards, I'm not answering you back at all.
Ovaries before broveries, Charnell.
Wow.
I love that.
I know.
Ovaries before
broveries. Cramping, Charnell.
Cramping. Just
This one I'm going to use on Jason at work. Please hesitate to reach out.
Nice.
oops, I'm so sorry. I forgot the don't.
Right. Please hesitate. Just slay, Charnell.
Slay.
I
Slay.
like slay.
Slay.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's work appropriate.
This one I need to use.
It is at Christmas if you spell it SLEIGH.
That's true. Slay.
Slay all day. Ho,
Slay.
ho, ho.
Slay all day, ho, ho, ho. I was
Your-
being festive.
Your-
I
your
wasn't
current-
calling
your
you
current-
a ho, ho.
Your current email sign off annoys me enough as it is.
I
This
was
says
verbing
best.
that ho, not nouning it. You say
Best.
best.
Mine.
It says it. She's like
Charnel,
has
why?
her content, and then at the end it says best.
Best,
Charnel with all
Charnel.
her credentials.
It does.
Best.
Really?
It does.
Every
Because
time
we
I
have
say-
to
every
have
ti-
something.
We don't.
I sometimes
Yes,
You
we
don't.
do.
with
I
kind
am
regards.
a manager. I do.
I'd be like, bye.
First of all,
I
yours
do
have
with-
so many goddamn typos in them,
Pieces.
Jason,
Like,
that no
mine-
one
mine
knows
would-
what
I'm gonna
you're
put-
trying to
I'm
say.
gonna put slay on mine.
You should. Slay.
Slay. That's fine, but I'm just letting you know you should have something that's automated because of your typo tendencies, because you don't wear your
I do
spectacles.
have I have an automated.
I know, but it
signature.
doesn't say you don't have an automated sign off.
No.
I
Yours
like it when
just says
people
your
spell
name.
sincerely wrong. It's
Yeah.
not sincere.
This
Look it up. You spell check if you're that sincere.
this is why you have an
you
automated
stop
one.
Plucking your hair off your face.
It was an eyebrow.
Anyway, the next one, laptop shutting now.
That's just your
Charnel.
your regards.
Like I'm done. Yep,
Yeah,
laptop
okay.
shutting off. At my limit, Charnel.
ah,
There you go.
we have a winner.
This one might be for you, Megan. In the trenches,
In
Megan.
the trenches.
Or how about just unwell? Unwell. That's what Jason should be.
Are you singing Matchbox 20 in your head right now?
Yes.
Unwell.
Okay.
Jason.
Me too.
Eat, pray, love. Can't wait to talk about
I
this
have
at
that
brunch.
tattooed. Oh, never mind.
Can't wait to talk about this at lunch. Is that what I said?
Yeah. Can't wait to talk about this at brunch. And then the last one we could all do, surviving.
Yes.
Just
I do. I
surviving.
like surviving. That
Yep.
one works.
Mine's just gonna be like rock on.
Slay. You don't like my best? Like
well,
best?
it's not. It's annoying when you
Best
like send me when you send me a correction, and it says best.
It seems a little snarky to you.
And then I'm that little girl in the meme that I sent you guys, where she's like, after I send my email, "Have a great day," and then there's a little girl with her holding my middle finger. I'm like, "Fuck you."
I love that one. I'm a firm
Well,
believer that you
do
just
it right the first time. You won't get any corrections.
Blah blah blah.
I think it's still appropriate to just sign off with "Have the day you deserve."
Yes.
Have the day you deserve.
Yes.
Have the day you deserve.
And with that, we're just going to say thank you all so much for listening and supporting us. If you'd like to support us more, feel free to join Patreon and get up to 5 extra episodes a month. So that would
You
be,
should do it now because this is only going to get better.
it is. That's good. That would be like 9 episodes, 9 or 10
And-
episodes. We do all kinds of extra
and-
shit.
So much
But-
extra.
And bigger.
Oh, Lord.
Jeez out.
And yeah, you get
Bigger and
more
better.
things like that.
And back.
But also, if you can't, we totally understand. But you know how you could support us? You could share our show with your friends and family. You could give us a positive review on any platform you're listening on. That helps the algorithms push us places.
You know, it's holiday season when you're at that office party. Be like, do you guys ever listen to Crime Curious? Mm-hmm. It's a great podcast. You should check it out.
Yep. You know, there's
next to the water cooler at Christmas.
Oh, yeah, water cooler conversations. There we go, with Crime Curious.
Are there still water coolers?
I don't know, but we could start an extra segment on that. Water cooler with Crime Curious.
I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
I prefer brain bath episodes with Crime Curious, which you can also get if you join Patreon.
That is, you do get that. But anyway, thank you all so much for listening. We hope that you keep it curious.
And keep listening.
Till next time.
Moist
Bye-bye.
regards.
God
Moist
bless
regards.
you,
Slay.
people. I'm out.